Hey guys, this week we're going to be taking a look at travel packs, and the bag we're going to be taking a look at is the Invisible Carry-on from a company called Opposethis. Now, I had never really used any of the bags from this company before, but I was familiar with some of the daily bags that they have come out with in the past, such as the Invisible Backpack. And the company has always had a reputation for some really sleek designs, very minimal, but still with a lot of really cool hidden pockets. And so, although I hadn't had a chance to try the Invisible Backpack out, I did think it was a really cool looking bag. And I had heard great things about the company. So I was really excited when they reached out to me to see if I would be interested in testing out their brand new Invisible Carry-on. And so the story behind this bag is actually really cool. When Opposethis got a lot of requests to develop a travel backpack after the success of their daily bags, what they wanted to do was kind of get input from their fans and supporters on how the bag should look. So it was almost like a collaborative design effort, just kind of trying to take into account the different feedback from fellow travelers. And so the Invisible Carry-on is kind of the result of a few different iterations of the bag. There were a lot of goals when developing this bag based off what I read about the project, which was, to kind of develop a travel backpack that was really easy to use, that still maintained a very minimal and clean style, and that would also be good for use not only as a travel backpack but as a day bag, so that you could really effectively one bag travel, take everything you need for your trip and then compress it down and actually use on your day-to-day. And I have to say, overall, as I've been testing it out and just filling it up with a bunch of different stuff and seeing how it works in a variety of different situations, I've been really impressed with what they've been able to do with this backpack, and I think it compares super well with a lot of the other travel bags that we've had here on the channel. So I want to go ahead and thank the company again for sending this over for me to test out, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a closer look at the Invisible Carry-on from Opposethis. So just starting out with the outside of the bag, if you are familiar with Opposethis, you know that they place a lot of emphasis on how their bags look and just maintaining a really beautiful and minimalistic aesthetic. And I have to say they've done a really good job of kind of maintaining that sleek and minimal aesthetic with the Invisible Carry-on. Compared to the Invisible Backpack, which I've seen a lot of videos of, I do think the bag is slightly less invisible, and I think that just comes with creating a capable travel backpack. Travel backpacks by their nature have a lot of different pockets and zippers, and they have to expand and contract, and so it's really difficult to kind of make a clean looking bag. But I think that a lot of the design choices that the company made really helped the bag keep a very minimal and sleek exterior. They intentionally chose to go with more of a teardrop shape as opposed to just kind of a more boxy shape. So, bags like the Tortuga Outbreaker we've looked at in the past, has a really cool design, but it is very much a box, very square backpack that, allows for a lot of stuff to fit, but it does just look a little bit bigger on your back. Whereas, something like this bag, it has more of a curved shape. So it still maintains a similar capacity, and you're able to fit a lot of stuff, but because it has kind of this teardrop shape, and because you can kind of pull the sides into each other, it does manage to look a little bit sleeker even when it's expanded and filled out. So overall, I think the design is really neat. We'll get a little bit more into the side buckles that allow you to compress the bag together, but one thing I just want to call out is just that these flaps kind of stick out a little bit if it's not compressed, and so that's an interesting design choice. Aesthetically, it's not my favorite when you have the flap sticking out, and I think over a couple of iterations of the bag, the company managed to make this protrude a little bit less. But it's still, when you compress the bag down, it's not a huge problem. But if you do need to open it up and allow this to expand sometimes when you want to get to some of the zippers, and at that point it looks a little bit funky. So it's not a huge deal, it's just me being kind of nitpicky with the look. And overall, when the bag is compressed, you can't even really see that it's there. And just overall, once the bag is compressed and you have it packed out with these clips, I think it looks great while you're wearing it. It really manages to look sleek even when it's expanded. And so, as I mentioned in the intro, one of the big goals with this backpack was to create something that was capable of being used as a travel backpack. So, kind of in that 30 to 35 liter range. When this bag is expanded, it is about 34 liters. And so that's a great size. That's typically the size that I like to stick to because it's very carry-on friendly. You can carry that on to most international flights that I've been on without any problem, and it still manages to hold enough stuff for a few weeks of travel, or even more depending on how you pack. So I think the bag is great for traveling. I love that it doesn't really stick out that much and it's not too obvious. It doesn't look too much like a travel backpack while you're wearing it. But I love that it also is able to compress into a smaller size so that you can use it as a day bag when you arrive at your destination. So the bag, as I mentioned, is 34 liters when fully expanded, but when you compress it down, it goes down to 24 liters, which is a pretty fair size for a daily bag. It's maybe slightly big than what some people would like to use, but for me, that's really manageable. 24 liters is not too bad at all. And I think that that's a fair trade-off for being able to have a bag that can work well in both situations as opposed to having to pack a separate daily bag. Continuing on with the materials of the bag is made out of a really durable feeling nylon polyester blend. It seems highly water resistant and like it's going to keep your bag safe if you get caught in a little bit of rain. If it was monsoon or something like that, you might want to have a rain cover of some sort. But for the most part, this seems like it's really going to keep water out well. On the bottom, it has this kind of tarpaulin or PU coated material here that gives the bag a nice little accent and helps separate it out so that you have a little bit of differentiation between the top and bottom of the bag. And I really like stylistically how that looks. The nylon and polyester material, on top of being, pretty weather resistant, is also really light, which I like. So when the bag gets empty, it doesn't feel heavy at all, which is very nice, especially compared when we talk about something like the nomadic travel pack, which we've looked at in the past. Even when it's empty, that bag is pretty heavy just because it has so much padding and pockets, and just the material itself is a lot more rigid than the nylon blend that you see here. And so over time, I'm not sure yet which one would be more resistant to the elements and to just the wear and tear of traveling. But for the most part, this one seems like it's going to hold up well. And if you're looking for a lighter bag, that's definitely a big plus on the Invisible Carry-on. And so you can really tell that the company put a lot of care into the materials they chose. They have really nice YKK zippers all around the bag. They all have the nice water resistant seal to help keep water out. On top of that, they have these really cool zipper pulls on most of the zippers. They're really nice to kind of grab, and the zippers slide really easily. So just overall, the quality of the bag has been great. The bag contains 2 handles on the side and on the top so that you can use it as a briefcase if you want to carry it without wearing it for a little bit. And it also has one on the top, so if you want to hang the bag or you're carrying it through the airport or something like that. The handles themselves feel really nice. They have almost kind of this leather or pleather type material. It's really soft and comfortable to hold. The handles are a little bit thin, so if you were holding this for a long period of time with a lot of weight, it might start to dig into your hand slightly, but overall they feel pretty comfortable and durable, and they add some nice accents to the bag to help separate it out from the rest of the look. The only question I have with these handles is whether they'd hold up as well to the rain as the rest of the nylon material of the bag, but overall they feel great and very comfortable to hold. Moving on to the straps and the back panel. The bag itself is very comfortable to wear. I really like what the company did here with the straps. They're really nicely padded. They have kind of this meshy material to help, maintain a good amount of airflow and prevent moisture from building up on your shoulders as you're wearing it. And the padding itself is really soft. It's slightly thinner than what I would like to see on a travel backpack strap. So they're pretty thin, especially as compared with something like the Air Travel Pack. But overall, they're really comfortable to wear. I really like how wide they are, so it's really nice that they will help disperse the weight across your shoulder. It doesn't feel like these are going to dig into your shoulders if you're wearing it with a lot of weight for a long period of time during the day. So I really like just the width here. And even though, as I mentioned, they were thin, they're still really comfortable to wear, and the padding is pretty nice. And then, it includes an adjustable and removable sternum strap to help kind of balance that weight a little bit more. There's no waist strap offered with the backpack, but I honestly don't think it's big enough to really warrant that. Another interesting thing about the straps of the backpack, which I hadn't seen on too many other bags, and I actually think is really cool, is the fact that the leftover strap doesn't just flop around. It's actually attached to the rest of the strap. So it has this nice plastic loop that keeps everything in place. So it's really easy to adjust the bag to, make sure it is sitting on your back where you want it. But it's nice that when you adjust it and pull it up nice and tight, all this leftover strap here doesn't just flop around. It's actually attached here to the bottom, and it helps keep just a cleaner look to the overall bag as you're walking around with it. As far as the back panel, this is really comfortable as well. They've included the same material on the back panel as they did on the strap, so it's just a really soft padding that's really comfortable. It feels very nice on your back. It's kind of this meshy material as well that allows the bag to breathe while it's on your back. On top of that, there's a little bit of elevation here on the back that allows airflow to come through and help keep moisture away for a little bit longer. And so overall, the bag itself was really comfortable to wear. I feel like I wouldn't get too fatigued from wearing this around the city for a long period of time. So moving on to the pockets of the bag. At the top, the company's included a really cool quick access compartment. So, I think that no bag is complete without this quick access compartment. It's really nice to be able to just have a pocket that you can reach into really quickly, that you can grab your phone or a cable or your sunglasses or something like that. And so this is a great pocket so that when you're going through your TSA, if you want to take your phone out really quickly or your watch or something and just toss it in there, there's plenty of space in here. What I currently have is just a portable external battery here. And I also have my sunglasses with their case. And it's nice to see that even with those items in there, there's plenty of leftover space. As you can see, almost my whole hand fits in here. So even with the sunglasses and the power bank in there, I'd still be able to fit my phone and maybe my passport or a charging cable or something like that. So there's just plenty of space, which is really nice. And then something that's really unique to this bag, which I hadn't seen before, which I thought was really clever, is that there's actually a secret compartment inside the quick access compartment where you can put something a little bit more delicate. So if you have your wallet or a passport and you don't want to leave it so exposed, because you can't lock this quick access compartment and anybody could unzip it and reach in kind of quickly. But because the secret compartment is on the bottom of the bag and it really lives up to the invisible carry-on name that it has, this pocket is completely invisible. If I hadn't read about it before getting the bag, I probably wouldn't even have noticed it was there. And so this is a really nice pocket because on the bottom underneath kind of the items that aren't as important, you can unzip that and hide something sensitive like your wallet. In this case, I just have my nomadic wallet, which I love to travel with. Even the secret pocket below the quick access pocket is pretty big. So when you actually unzip everything, both the quick access and the secret compartment come down to about the middle of the back of the bag. So you could fit not just your wallet, but also your passport and maybe even like a sensitive USB stick with something that you might not want easily stealable, and just hide it all down there. And once you zip that up, you really can't see the zipper very well. As you can see in the footage here, it's pretty well hidden. And then you can fill it up with the other quick access items that you want to carry with you, and the pocket is good to go. And on top of that, the pocket itself is pretty well padded. It has a similar material to the one on the strap, so it's kind of a meshy, soft padded material, which, it's not quite as soft as like the felt line materials we've seen on some other bags that are good for preventing scratches, but it still feels like if you do put something like your phone in here, it's going to be pretty well protected. So I was just really impressed overall with how well they implemented the quick access compartment. So moving on to the laptop compartment, the bag has a really nice compartment, very spacious. You can fit up to a 15.6-inch laptop in here. This pocket itself is very big to allow for space, not only for your laptop, but maybe for some documents or a folder or something like that. And the laptop compartment itself is really nicely implemented. I really like that they have the soft felt lining here on both sides of the compartment to help prevent scratching for your device. And the compartment itself is really big. As you can see, it kind of comes out nice and wide. So if you have a thicker laptop, that should be able to fit in here as well. As I mentioned, you can definitely fit a 15-inch laptop here easily. I currently have my 13-inch MacBook Pro. And so one thing I did notice about the compartment is that it's a little bit kind of floppy. So even though it's a little padded and it has that felt lining to prevent scratching, it doesn't feel as sturdy or rigid as some of the other laptop compartments that we've seen in travel backpacks. So that's just something to keep an eye on. It still feels like it's going to protect your laptop pretty well. The compartment overall is pretty rigid, but just this little flap here, is a little less padded than what I would like to see for a laptop compartment. One really positive thing is that the compartment itself is elevated off the ground, so if you do drop your bag or when you put it down, your laptop won't be making contact with the ground, so that's really important. And one thing that I was really impressed by is that even when the bag itself was packed out, it was still very easy to put my laptop in and out of the bag. It never felt like there was a lot of pressure on the laptop. That's one thing I've noticed with a lot of travel bags, is that when you fill them out completely, even though they have a laptop compartment, it's kind of difficult to use it. And so overall, just a really useful laptop compartment that definitely makes me feel like it's going to keep my laptop protected. Before moving on to the rest of the pockets of the bag, I did want to call out that there is no water bottle pocket on the outside of the bag, which is a little bit unfortunate. No matter where I'm going, I still like to carry my water bottle with me. And so I do understand that it would have kind of been difficult to integrate a water bottle compartment with kind of the sleek look that they're going for here, especially with the clips that they have on the outside. And so you could probably still clip one on with a carabiner, and there is room on the inside of the bag, as you'll see when we dive into the main compartments, to maybe squeeze that in there. But overall, I still prefer to have the water bottle compartment on the outside if possible. So definitely not a deal breaker, but just something I figured I'd call out. And so the bag itself has these really nice compression straps that kind of help maintain the sleek look of the bag. As I mentioned earlier, this is what keeps the flaps on the side from popping out and giving it that kind of unusual, almost arrow shape. So these are really important to me. I really keep them tight most of the time to keep those ends of the bag tucked in. I really don't like the look when those things pop out. So I really like how they implemented the hooks here. As I mentioned, they're really durable feeling metal, and they're really easy to compress and release, which is nice because you will actually have to do this quite a bit, especially if you're trying to get to some of these inner zippers that we'll look at in a little bit for the compartments of the bag. And although I do like how this was implemented, and I do think it's pretty smooth to compress and uncompress, I do wish that instead of hooks they would have used clips just to make it a little bit easier to release. I do think that the metal is a little bit nicer feeling than some of the plastic clips that bags like the Air Travel Pack have, but I do think those are a little bit easier to release, especially on a bag like this where you may have to be doing this pretty often, it would be nice to make it just a little bit more convenient. But overall, it still doesn't take too much effort to release the clips, and then you can access the compartments as you need to. And whenever you're done, you can hook it on pretty easily, compress it, and then you'll be good to go. Continuing with the pockets of the bag, on the front, you just have kind of a quick access pocket here as well. This is meant, I think, more for chargers and wires and maybe a pair of headphones or something like that. It's really nice how this pocket is really separated out from the rest of the bag just by the difference in material, so it's really easy to access and see. The pocket itself, it doesn't open too wide, so I wouldn't be able to put something very bulky in it, especially if the rest of the bag was really packed out, but it's still really useful. It's not as tough to use as something like the slant pocket on the GoRuck bags. So this is definitely really nice to have. What I currently have in here is just my 5-port USB adapter. And then I also just have an additional power bank. But this would be a great spot to put a laptop charger or some headphones or maybe some snacks. And so, I just really like having this pocket that I'm able to access quickly without having to dig into the rest of the bag. And I really like that even though it's not too wide, it doesn't have its own volume per se, it's still really useful, and I really like it was able to hold the items that I need to get to very quickly. So the next compartment here on the front has kind of all the organizational options that you would need, especially if you were planning to use this as a daily bag. I was kind of shocked just how big this compartment is. So this one goes all the way to the bottom of the bag, so it covers the full height of the bag. So it's a really spacious compartment. It opens nice and wide here so that you can easily see what's in all the individual pockets and also what's on the bottom if you choose to have something kind of down there tucked away. So the size itself is really impressive to me. You can really fit a lot of stuff here, and I really like the internal organization that the company offers with this pocket here. So as you can see, there's a few different slip pockets and zippered pockets, and kind of the first thing that I have here is just my Mocreo travel adapter. And so as I mentioned, the bag opens wide, it goes all the way to the bottom. This might be where you would store a water bottle if you wanted to carry one with you. I think there's space here for that. As I mentioned, there's a few different internal organization compartments here. There's a few slip pockets to start off with. So in the first one, what I have here is my GoPro Hero 3 Plus, and that fits very comfortably in there. This is a nice size pocket. And the other pocket, what I have is my portable Bluetooth speaker and power bank, the Blue Pot, which we looked at in a previous video here on the channel. And so both of these slip pockets are about the same size. They're really capable. I love when bags include these type of pockets because they're, a little bit wider. You can put something that's slightly bulkier in there, and they just work really well for a variety of items. On top of those slip pockets, there's an additional zippered compartment here. And so I don't really have too much in here at the moment. I just have my Field Notes notebook. And then I also have a retractable HDMI cable. And so there's plenty of leftover space in here. This pocket goes about as low as the bottom of the outer slip pockets. So, it's pretty deep. I would think that, depending on what you're planning to use each pocket for, if you have something bulkier in the zippered pocket, it might make it a little bit more difficult to use the slip pockets and vice versa. So you kind of have to be a little strategic with how you use these pockets. But overall, it's really nice that you have a variety of options for how you want to organize your things. And then at the top here, there's an additional kind of just larger slip pocket. There's a little bit of a sleeve here that would work well for a magazine or a book. I currently just have my iPad Mini 2 in here, and that fits really easily. I think you could almost fit just a regular size iPad in here as well. So although this isn't padded and it doesn't have any sort of kind of felt lining to help prevent against scratching, I don't think it's necessarily meant as a tablet sleeve, but it holds it really well. And I also like that, this pocket is really easy to access. So if I wanted to grab my tablet quickly, I would be able to just get in here fast and grab it and be able to watch things on the plane or while I'm waiting in the airport or something. So really nice just how flexible this is. And so I was just really impressed with the overall design of this pocket, the internal organization that it offered, and more importantly, just the amount of space that it gives you so that you can carry everything that you need to, especially if you plan to use this as a daily bag. So moving on to the main compartment. So as with any good travel backpack, this one opens up clamshell style for easy packing, which is great to see. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the bag, when expanded, has a 34-liter capacity, which is awesome. To me, this is kind of that sweet spot for travel backpacks. I think with this size, it'd be very easy to travel on any airline. I don't think you'd ever have to end up checking it. And the bag, even though it doesn't look that big, it holds a ton. I was really impressed with just how easily I was able to fit everything that I carry with me on my typical trips. And so what I've gone ahead and done is included the same items that I've used in all my other travel bag videos. And so as you guys already know, I always pack my Toms, never go anywhere without them. Still my favorite travel shoe. And then I also have my Air Dop kit. And then I have my kind of Converse looking penguin chiller shoes, very small and easy to pack, so I really like those. Then I also have a small packing cube with kind of my underwear and my t-shirts and socks and just things like that. And then I also have my large double-sided packing cube that has my dress shirts and jeans and anything a little bit bigger that I want to pack. So that all fit in there very easily. I was impressed that the bag was able to hold it very comfortably. I never felt like it was gonna explode on me or anything, which sometimes I end up feeling like with travel packs, like I really have to squeeze it in, but with this I felt like there was plenty of space. And I really just like how simple the main compartment is. It's just a big bucket pretty much. There's no internal organization, no kind of random mesh zip pockets there, so it's very simple. It really combines well with a packing cube style of packing. On the flap of the bag, there's just another simple zip compartment here that that takes up about half the length of the flap. And so I didn't really use this for anything. I typically don't use these type of pockets that much. I think this would be great for putting maybe a laundry bag or some dirty laundry. You could probably fit a toiletry bag in here as well. But because this bag shares space with the outer compartments of the bag, I fear that if you put something too bulky in here, it would just take up space from the outer compartments. So I kind of prefer to leave this empty or to put something very small in there and just kind of use the main compartment with my packing cubes. So overall, I think this is a great kind of main compartment. I thought it was super easy to pack, and I think, space-wise, it compares really well with all the other travel packs we've had so far on the channel. And so as I mentioned earlier, one of the big goals of this bag was to make something that would be comfortable to use not only for traveling, but also as a daily bag when you arrive at your destination. And so the great thing about this bag is that it compresses down from its 34-liter capacity to a 24-liter capacity for use as a daily bag. And so it has a really nice zipper here that's very easy. It goes around the full length of the bag, and it really compresses the bag down nicely. And then on top of that, you can use the compression straps that we talked a little bit earlier about in the video and really make sure to pull the bag down together, and it gives it a very sleek side. So once you kind of have the bag all strapped up and compressed, it looks really nice for use as a daily bag. It's slightly bigger than what I would typically want. Most of the daily bags that I like to use are between 19 to 21 liters. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, but I definitely don't think this is too cumbersome. So I think that the company did a really good job with how they implemented that compressing feature and with the ability that they give you to kind of use the hooks to make it look even sleeker. And I think this is where that teardrop shape really comes in handy, is when you're using it as a daily bag. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a sleeker look as opposed to that boxier look that a lot of other travel backpacks have. So I think they did a really good job of kind of living up to that goal of making this bag usable as a daily bag, and I'm really excited to start using this on more trips going forward. So overall, I was really impressed with the Invisible Carry-on. You can tell that a lot of care went into how this bag was designed. It really shows just how well the feedback from fellow travelers was integrated into the design of the bag. I think it works super great as a travel backpack. It's definitely able to hold everything that I would need for a normal 2 to 3 week trip. And I think the style is really cool. I think it manages to maintain kind of a sleek, slim profile while still being able to hold a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of the organization and the style is just really neat and very unique. So I was really impressed overall with just how well the bag performed. The bag itself costs about $265, and I'll make sure to include a link to Opposethis' website in the description below to where you can buy the bag. And so this is definitely not a cheap bag. It's a bit of an investment, and compared to other travel bags, it's kind of in a similar price range. So the materials of the bag are really good, the features are very unique, and the capacity is great. And this definitely feels like a high quality bag that's going to last for a really long time. So it falls right in line with bags like the Tortuga Outbreaker 35 liter that we've reviewed in the past. That's also about $265. Earlier in the video, we also talked a little bit about the Air Travel Pack, which is $220. So it's a little bit cheaper. And for a long time, the Air Travel Pack has actually been my favorite travel pack of all the ones that I've reviewed. As I mentioned during the video, however, I do think this one works slightly better as a daily bag. So if you're looking for something that you can use for both as a travel pack and as a daily bag, this might be a little bit better just because of the shape and the compression that it offers. But it is a little bit more expensive than the Air Travel Pack, so that's something to keep in mind depending on your budget. But I do think this is also a really good price, especially when compared to something like the Manal Carry-on 2.0. Which is a great travel bag, but it doesn't work as well as a day bag as this one, and it's also a little bit more expensive. So that bag is $299 versus the $265 for this one. So although it's not cheap, I do think it's a pretty fair price considering the quality and the features that it offers. And so overall, I really enjoyed testing the bag out. I was really impressed with all the features and the style that the bag had to offer, and I was just really impressed with the whole process that went into making this bag. I think it was really cool that the company really brought their fans into the design process and collaborated with them to create something something that, was going to be really neat. And I hope to see more projects like this from the company in the future. I want to go ahead again and thank the company for sending the bag for me to test out. I definitely enjoyed checking it out. I think it's a great bag, and if you guys are looking for a really capable travel backpack that will also work well as a daily bag, I definitely recommend you look at the Invisible Carry-on from Opposethis. If you guys found this review useful, please go ahead and give us a like below, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and thank you guys so much.